Hey guys, welcome back to the Doremicom channel. I cannot tell you how excited I am about the fact that version 1 Mutant Chronicles Siege of the Citadel by Pressman Games came in through eBay. And before we go any farther, because I want to do a little bit of a compare and contrast between version 1 and version 2, I would love it if you guys answered the question for this particular video, which will be, what's the first game that you bought that wasn't new? And if you haven't, let me know that too. The first thing that happens when you look at the two games side by side, I was in the process of playing through version 2 and I started to realize that I am actually missing a couple pieces. I reached out to Motifidius to just say, whatever you have for these tokens, please send me. But they have not been producing the game for 5 years now, so I don't know how lucky I'm going to be with that particular request. But definitively, when I look at version 1 versus version 2, there is just a massive scale difference in the game. In the parts, in the number of cards, how expansive it is. Let's start with just the boards themselves. So here's version 1, here's version 2. Version 1 came with 8, and this is actually the last one, 8 different boards. The version 2 came with 9 double-sided. First version is not double-sided at all. The next thing I want to show you is the miniatures. So version 1 had a lot of miniatures like this, and this is actually a character model, and all the things are, you know, I've got a sword and something else, you know, on one hand, and I'm about as flat as I can be. The version 2 models definitively are dynamic. I think the scale difference is 25 millimeter versus a more natural looking 30 millimeter model. So there's dynamic range. He's lunging forward. He's shooting to the side. His sword is kind of behind him. Here is a chunky guy from version 1 who is more heroic modeled 25 millimeter. The one big exception of scale is actually the Ezo Ghoul from version 1, and I really like this feature. It actually can swing side to side, so you can never get away from the Ezo Ghoul stare. It's something that is just interesting. Version 1 comes with these particular force cards that dictate what evil monsters show up in each one of the rooms. To give you a size comparison, this deck, which came in version 2, has 44 cards versus 12, where one of the 12 is a blank anyways. So you get a real size difference comparison on both the size of the card plus the number of cards that come in the particular box. The size of the rule book. Let's take a look there, right? The original version 2 booklet had 28 pages. This has 16. The sizes of the pages are much smaller. There aren't as many art pieces to this. And I'm not saying that there isn't any art. I'm just saying that version 2 had significantly more art per page. This is the missions book. It is a whopping 6 pages, 1 campaign, 10 missions, and there's not as much story interwoven in here, which I think is why me and my friends, when we bought this particular game, we would kind of make our own missions that we were going to compete in. As the player boards, as far as the player boards are concerned, as a reminder, version 2 had 3 different characters you could play as. So you had to pick the cards associated to the 2 that you were going to take into the dungeon. There was only a requirement for 3 different pegs, and various cards would come off the sides. But these pegs indicate the health of each one of your models and the promotion points, which was only 0 through 9 in version 2. In version 1, because there was no third miniature that you could play as. You needed a peg for your health. It all came on one card. Peg for your health, description of your special ability based on which corporation. And I'll have zoom ups, B-roll filtered in here as we go. They allowed you to collect up to 149 promotion points in 2 different sectors, one for tens and one's for the single digits. You then would extrapolate from your promotion points what was your rank 1 through 6, and your rank determined how problematic your opponents would be. So if you're a rank 1 or 2, the opponents might only be rolling red and white dice that have the fewer faces. And then as you ended up leveling up all the way up to 5 and 6, there's no whites on the board at all. It's all black and red dice that you are rolling for against yourself. And then over to the side, you also had a thing called credits, which is how you could purchase new equipment. I don't see that per se in the version 2, so I'm wondering if gear just gets found in various chests and whatnot. And then the last thing is extra actions. So in version 1, both characters could take 2 actions, move or attack, and you could do 2 attacks, 2 moves. As well as based on your rank, you had a certain amount of extra actions that you could apply to either one of your miniatures. So per turn. So there was quite a lot of flexibility on what a corporation could do within a turn. Let's take a look at some of the other cards. We had Doom Trooper cards. These were cards that broke the game some way, and I have a feeling that this is the associated deck. So there's some equipment and other things in here. So again, as we're looking at version 1 versus version 2, there might have been, 16 cards versus what might be 30 plus cards for version 2. Everything just has greater scale. You had secondary mission cards. These were the ways in version 1 that you could acquire credits. I don't think you could also acquire promotion points through secondary missions, but this was the way to upgrade your gear. You had event cards. Event cards would indicate a random happenstance in a particular mission. I don't know if this was done every turn, but I do know that certain missions definitively had them. I've got a lot of reading to do. I'm incredibly excited about this whole thing. I really like how the original miniatures, they came in one of 5 colors. Blue, and then the ones that have both Doom Troopers, which are the good guys, and the Dark Legion, which are the bad guys, came in white, red, green, and black. And so I kind of want to keep the old school feel of this. I don't think I want to go through and really detail these miniatures, but if I could get a spray paint for the good guys and just change the colors up so that it's hyper easy to see where player models are on the board, I think I might do that. In the meantime, I have a meager 16-page rulebook to read through, make sure that I am telling you all the truths, but I will also make sure that we have an introductory guide on this channel as well as my campaign rules channel, and we will also play through an entire campaign on that channel in order to prepare and make sure that we have all the right equipment and gear to be filming our campaigns, starting with the board games. So please, 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 I know I asked you the question if you have a preference or if you have ever purchased a used game. This one came in remarkable condition considering how old the game is. I would love to hear your all's stories. The other thing that I am kind of curious about is that once we get through Mutant Chronicles, at least version 1, there's going to be an opportunity to pick quite a few different games. I have Primal coming in. I have Kingdom Death Monster. I have Oathsworn. These are all bigger campaign games. I am kind of curious because on this channel there's more people that are still subscribed, so hypothetically we could get a larger sample size. What would be your preference for the next campaign game that we play through once we kind of have the technology sorted out? Anyways, have a good one. I appreciate you all watching the channel, and we will continue to expand. Take care.